Hey, what's up guys, I'm your host Nero and welcome to another episode of How Do You Do. Now in today's episode I have for you guys a Photoshop tutorial on how to do the color splash effect. Now that's not the actual official name of this effect. On the internet it's called many things. It's the desaturation effect, the color pop effect, but I decided to call it the color splash effect. So now what this effect does, it takes a completely normal photo, makes it completely black and white except for one color. So now the effect is quite popular and is most commonly done with a red or a yellow, but it can be done with any color that's in the frame, and it doesn't even have to be one color. It can just be making your subject in color, whereas everything else is black and white. Now this technique is so popular that there are even apps made specifically just to do this effect. But despite that, it's actually super simple to learn. It's going to take you about 2 minutes to do, and it's going to make your photos look really, really good. So now just as an example of where we're working towards, this photo here of the coins, everything else is black and white except for that blue ring that's on the coin. So that's what we're aiming towards, and we're going to be applying this effect onto this photo here, and the little splash of color that we want is the red in my t-shirt and the red in my shoes. Okay, so now without wasting any more time, let's get into the tutorial. But before that, roll the intro. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is open up the photo in Photoshop and wait for everything to load up. And now once that's done, you'll notice that in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you have a layers panel. Now in that panel, there's one layer called background, and that's actually our current image. So now you're going to go to that layer and right click and go duplicate layer. So what this does is it creates a duplicate layer on top of our background layer. So now you're going to click on the original background layer and go Control Shift U. So now what this does is it makes the entire image black and white. Now you may be looking at me like, wait, but nothing happened to the overall image. Now that's because we've changed our bottom layer. There's still a duplicate layer on top which still has colors. And now if you make that layer invisible by clicking on the little eye next to it, you'll notice that the image is actually black and white. So now making that top layer visible again, and go over to the select panel which is up top and click color ring. So now this should bring up another panel, and you'll notice that there are 3 eyedropper tools. So now the first eyedropper tool you're probably all familiar with. It's used for selecting a single color within a frame. So now moving over to the second one, it's called add to sample. So now what that eyedropper tool does is it actually adds multiple colors or different shades of the same color depending on where you click within your image. And now the final eyedropper tool is called subtract from sample. So now what that does is it removes colors or different shades of the same color depending on where you've selected within your image. So now to begin with, what you're going to do is you're going to go into your first eyedropper tool, the one you're all familiar with, and we're just going to click around on my shirt. So you'll notice that as I'm clicking around on my shirt, more or less areas of the image are becoming light. So now that's showing me how much of the image or how much of my shirt has been selected. And now I'm just going to click around to see where most of my shirt and my shoe are selected, and I'm going to use that as a starting point. So I think somewhere about here is where most of my shirt's selected, and then I'm going to go over to the add to sample tool, and I'm going to click on different areas of my shirt that haven't been selected. Basically just refining my selection, as well as selecting parts of my shoe that weren't originally selected. Now when doing this, if you accidentally make a mistake and select on a color that's very abundant in your image and now most of it is white and selected, all you have to do is just go Command Z and undo that action, or you can use the subtract from sample tool to just remove that selection. So now once you're happy with what you've selected, just go ahead and hit OK, and that's going to bring up the marching ants. So now these ants are showing you that the reds on my t-shirt and my shoe have been selected. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Command Shift I. So that inverts the selection so that everything except my shirt and my shoe have been selected. And now you're going to go ahead and hit delete, and you're pretty much already done with your image. Most of it has become black and white, whereas only my shirt and my shoe are now in color. But now you'll notice that some of the books in my bookshelf and parts of the floor are also in color because they have the same tone as parts of my shirt and shoe. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead to the eraser tool, and now using the bracket keys to increase and decrease the size of my brush, we're just going to erase out the colors that we don't need. And now when you're doing this, make sure that it's the top duplicate layer that's been selected and not the bottom background layer. And once I'm done, I'm going to apply a 4:5 crop because Instagram. And now we can see that even though I kind of like the image without the effect applied to it, once I have done the color splash effect and applied that crop, it looks so much better. So now, of course, you're not going to apply this to every single photo that you take, and I get that not everyone is going to like the color splash effect, but it's just something fun to occasionally add to your work to just spice things up a bit, change it up, maybe if you're getting bored with the photos that you're taking. But if it's not your thing, I can get that. I kind of like it, but of course I'm not going to use it on every single photo that I take. And there you have it, that's the end of our tutorial. And just like I said, it's a super quick, super easy to learn trick that you can use on your photos. If you guys had any thoughts or questions about the tutorial, please share them down in the comment section below. If you had any more tutorials that you would want me to cover, please also share that down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and of course subscribe for more great content that's going to be coming out. And as always, have a great life.